employers are saying there's a skills gap. And what does that actually mean to you as a student right now in 2025? So we've got Petronella and Siobhan here from the Pearson's team to help uncover that and help depict that for you. So you can feel a lot more empowered after you go away today. And we'll also be doing follow-up workshops every month across the next year. So be sure to tune into them too. So we're here today with Petronella and Siobhan from Pearson's. Thank you both for being here. Can we start off with some introductions, please? So Siobhan, if you want to go first.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's great to have this conversation today. I'm Siobhan Bradley. I'm the Early Careers and Talent Development Manager at Pearson. We are the world's lifelong learning company. And our purpose really is to help people realise the life they want and realise that through learning. Best known in the UK for our awarding body status. We're the largest awarding body for brands like BTEC and T-Levels. So just want to kind of have that chat today about our company and how it's evolved over the last few years and dive into some interesting topics today.
Yeah, nice.
Great to be here.
Thank you. And Petronella?
And hello, I'm Petronella and I am a technical source apprentice here at Pearson.
So first things first, why are we hearing so much about the skills gap, Siobhan? So can you tell me a bit about what this means and what this kind of outline this if I'm a 15-year-old and I don't really know what the skills gap is, and hearing adults talking about this?
Yeah, and I think it's nothing new. I think anyone who's probably listening to this, even very young in their kind of career, maybe even at school, we've talked about skills gaps in this country for a long time, but I think the world of work is changing at a pace right now that's just much faster than we've ever seen before. And really, we just don't have the young people with the right skill set to move into meaningful work at the right time that employers need, really, to help us advance what companies are looking for to respond to the changing needs of the world, really. Mm-hmm. So it's not a buzzword. It is definitely happening with the technological disruption that's happening with things like AI and automation. We've had to quite quickly and overnight change the way we do roles, the way we maybe had traditional roles are now being fulfilled by agents and things like that I know a lot of our students listening will be aware of when they engage with companies. So quite quickly, we're having to respond to these changes and then add into that an aging workforce. Mm-hmm. So we've got more people in this country retiring than young people moving into meaningful work, which is where they have the skills to be able to hit the ground running and showcase those skills to employers from the very off. Mm-hmm. So it is creating a challenge for employers like Pearson. Yeah,
and how does that kind of then shape the future of work for the young people?
Yeah, I mean, we've done quite a lot of research recently. So Pearson, being an awarding organisation, does a lot of kind of efficacy research on kind of learning and the world of work and skills. So at the start of the year, our CEO launched our latest report, which was called Lost in Transition, Fixing That Skills Gap. And it was really seen at that point, like, how can we look at how we offer programs and support to schools, universities and higher education institutions, and ultimately to students, to be more job ready? How do we fix that gap between kind of school and the workplace, learning and earning? And one of the things that's come out more recently is we've had to even shift from January when we released that report internally, a complete shift to say, it's not just about learning to earn, it's about learning to learn. And we've really seen that by us moving away from kind of it always being so mechanical about moving into paid work, if we move into more kind of meaningful kind of learning, effective learning for young people, the transition can be easier. And actually, I think a much smoother transition for young people. It's also probably a good point to point out that it's not just young people who are experiencing this change in the workplace. We're seeing experienced colleagues who want to have to make changes to the roles they're having to upskill, retrain. So it's an opportunity for young people at this time because they're coming in often with more tech savvy skills, more curiosity in their minds, more asking questions and more experienced colleagues. So I actually think for all there is this gap, our young people kind of can take that as an opportunity to help us embrace these changes and be at the forefront of them.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you then, so for the young people, how do we then help them navigate this gap between going from learning to earning? And then equally, the same for anyone, that might be a career changer, that too. Yeah.
I mean, I first of all want to just say it's never easy. And for most experienced professionals, we've all been there at some point in our life. So that's never, a quick win or an easy thing to do. But we've more recently been talking internally about the 3 C's. And that's about us instilling confidence. So the first C, It's also about clarity. So in the job roles that we offer and the work that we're offering, and also connectiveness and connection, such as like networking and things. So those 3 C's are the things that we have consciously internally been working with our internal early careers professionals who work at Pearson, but when we do external work as well, is making sure that we're sort of working on those 3 C's to help navigate or bridge the gap for young people.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's like definitely on our side at Pathway, it's helping students develop those soft skills as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just, you know, those technical skills, you know, what you're learning to then help you learn. There's kind of like almost a space within the middle. So it's helping provide those skills as well that can kind of build the employability. You know, it's like when you're going to an interview or an assessment, it's filling almost that space in the gap as, you know, the transition is, you know, super important too. So I was reading through the report and I heard it kind of, I read it kind of talking about it's not just what we learn, it's how we learn. What does that kind of mean? Can you kind of unravel that for us, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been around for a while that we know in Pearson that when we work with institutions and our centres, for example, so colleges, schools, we are really kind of consciously telling them about the effective learning styles in preparing young people for the workplace. So tangibly kind of helping with things like goal setting, career planning, communication skills, and personal branding. These are areas that we really see that actually, if the learning is more effective and people take more ownership from a young age through supportive kind of settings like schools, it can be an area for someone to thrive. So historically, we used to learn content. It used to be very much about regurgitating for exams. I think the days of that are gone. You know, we've got a lot of these ChatGPT, Copilot and things like that can help with like knowledge transfer. It's about bringing some of our human skills, creativity skills and innovation, problem solving skills to the mindset. So how do we make sure that when we learn in a school setting that our practitioners are making sure that that's the environment that they teach, but also we need to kind of also stress to the young person that almost the development is in their hands and they have to also take ownership of their career development from probably a younger age. Yeah,
for sure. And then what kind of would you say is one of the biggest challenges or one of the bigger challenges for, you know, young person moving from education into the workplace, and how can we kind of, again, how do we then reduce that gap between the skills needed to learn and then the skills needed to earn? Yeah,
this comes up a lot. And I think it comes down to uncertainty. So at that point in your career, you can be really uncertain about kind of what you want to do. You know, for some people, they have this all worked out and their families support them. And for others, they just really come to us and they are at that point in their life where they're sort of like navigating different choices and they really don't have a clue. And that's okay. You know, that's fine at a young age to not always have that all worked out. But making a start really does help. And giving yourself that breathing space to do that. So that's the thing, you know, give yourself that permission that it's not been figured out. Secondly, I would say build confidence through action. So work experience is the gold thread here. And we are really, really pushing employers like Pearson to give as much exposure to things like taster days, insight events, workshops, information sessions like this, to give students a flavour of the industry they're in, the job roles that they have. So any type of real world work experience is kind of really the golden thread, I would say. So trying to be quite proactive, asking if you can volunteer, get a part-time job, things like that are kind of a great way for you to kind of start your steps in moving your career. Get familiar with processes like interviews. They can be daunting, but, you know, mock interviews with your, you know, friends, even with school leaders, instead of kind of seeing the sessions being advertised, walking and saying, oh, another time, throw yourself into them. Employers are actually really open to kind of supporting this kind of application support. So you often see a lot of employers advertising kind of employability work experience sessions. So go ahead and do them and just be open to talking to people. Like 100%. I cannot kind of stress that enough at this time with the world of work changing so much, roles are changing. So you learn a lot from just networking, connecting with others and being open to kind of listening.
And then for you, what would you say like networking actually means? Because I know it's a word that's kind of thrown about quite a lot. What does that actually involve as a student, as a young person? How can I, you know, network in a professional sense?
Depending on your age, it will probably vary. So for those age 16 and over, LinkedIn is a really good place to start. So you can connect with people who are open to connecting. You often need to know them personally for them to accept your invitation, but often they will put out content that you can kind of engage with and network, and it might even be an invitation to free events. Other than that, if you can, connect with other apprentices. So if you're in a school or a college environment where apprentices have been past students, again, asking your careers leads whether or not you could have a chat with them. They're quite open to coming back and spending time with students. And even just start small, even in your friends and your kind of inner circle, you know, parents, guardians, what sectors are they in? You know, even when you're kind of engaging in other kind of environments in your life. So if you go to the gym, you know, you can kind of interact with other people, all walks of life, all different job roles, just being kind of open to have conversations, because it can sometimes really spark an interest in an area that you've never thought about. Yeah,
starting those conversations always does open a door. It's just being inquisitive, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, and I think don't be scared. Like, people actually willingly want to help you. Like, that's the one thing, like my job role, obviously, day in, day out, I love passionately helping young people, and it's obviously part of what I do. But most people, I think, these days are aware that, you know, after the pandemic, how hard it was for students during that time to learn, get maybe tangible work experience through the formal channels. They're a lot more open to having them conversations, and they're actually engaging in a way that they learn from the student as well. We learn both ways because we're learning from younger minds and younger talent. Yeah, and then that kind of, I guess, feeds into how is technology changing the kind of skills the employers are looking for. I guess kind of touching upon that networking piece, it's all about the soft skills, like, you know, being able to communicate, timekeeping, you know, really having a presence when you go to an interview, or, you know, are networking, as we just mentioned, with someone new. Yeah, technology has completely changed the game in that. So, and I think it's worth calling out that regardless of whether or not you're going to work in a technical role, you're still going to have to engage with technology. It's going to touch all walks of job roles, and we're seeing that in Pearson now. So you don't have to be in coding or a software developer to be actually having to use AI and technology. So being a bit more kind of curious or not afraid to have a go with some of this latest technology will probably set you up. I would say the softer skills are probably, and we call them in Pearson power skills. We've got 5 power skills. Have probably come more to the forefront, which again is like aligning yourself more to those softer skills and improving on things like communication. Those are really important. And the unique human side of skills is going to become more important. So whether that's you're a creative person, you're a great problem solver, you're naturally a good communicator, that will kind of stand you in good stead. But also, if those are the things that maybe you kind of struggle with, is small steps into kind of increasing your confidence in them areas would be helpful. Yeah. And so how can students start building these skills up from now, from today? If I've just gone away after listening to this podcast, what are some things I can kind of start thinking about doing? Yeah, I would say start small. So if it is that you kind of have that fear of technology, maybe just start kind of being a bit more inquisitive, playing around with that, maybe even in your school setting and some of the work you have to do, projects, things like that. If you're naturally not very confident, again, putting yourself forward into some of those leadership positions within any opportunities you get. So volunteer. If there is projects within your school or opportunities to get involved in networks, then do that. Take on a role that's, you know, maybe a little bit more leadership or project management type things. Lean into your strengths. So we talk a lot about kind of what things you need to work on, but if you know you've got them human abilities of always including others, being quite empathetic, they are highly recognised by employers, and they're the sorts of things that going forward tech won't replace. We're looking for those more uniquely human skills to come out. So start small, think about what you're good at, what maybe you want to work on, and then put like a goal setting plan together. Yeah, definitely. Like, I would even say for myself, even in this instance, like today, I know we were just talking about before, we probably, none of us are really that competent on, you know, wanting to present and do things like this. It's like taking yourself out of your comfort zone. Because we all have great interpersonal skills. That's why we're in the space we're in. But it's, you know, taking yourself out, identifying where you can work on those skills. So this is a great example of what you can do. Maybe not on this kind of scale, but you know. Yeah, and I think do it. Just do it, because it's like, to your point, like it might be fearful and you go, I'll put that off, I'll do that another time. But just break them down into small things. And the more you do them, the more confidence you get. And that's what I see all the time with early careers professionals. And Petronella is a shining example of this. She had that in her to obviously be quite quiet when she first started. And just by asking questions and throwing herself in, the confidence levels just increase massively. So doing the little things, it does pay off.
Yeah, just get started and go
Get
for
started.
it. I know for a lot of students, it's kind of best to learn through hearing about stories and kind of pathways into work and how that kind of develops and how to get from A to B. So luckily we've got Petronella here with us today. So Petronella, can you kind of explain a bit about your path into Pearson's and kind of what that looks like and how students can kind of aspire to maybe be in your position one day and how to get there really?
Yes, of course. So my journey really began back in high school when I was in year 11, and I was sort of studying and looking out on what my future would look like. It was pretty much the same story where teachers used to say, if you want to have a successful career, it would be you go to sixth form, achieve your A-levels, and then straight into university. That's sort of what it looked right. That's what felt like back then. But for me, it was really, I was sort of the person of more practical and hands-on learner. I used to love just whatever I learned, put in action. So I started doing a bit of my own research, trying to understand what is out there and what can I possibly do that matches my aspirations and my goals. So I started doing a little bit of research. So that's where I came across my local college. I got in contact with them and sort of we were collaborating on what path is best for me. Until results day, we chose that it was best for me to do a level 3 business management and administration course just because there was a bit of work experience going on, which really interested me. But until then, it came results day, I got my results and I had to bring them in at college. And when the staff saw all my results, were really, really impressed. And they sort of suggested me something new, something that just came out. And it was the first ever time that they wanted to try it out, which was T-levels. And what immediately caught my eye was the 45-day industrial placement. I knew that was something that was calling my name. I knew it was time for me, not just to be sitting in a classroom, not just theory and assignments. It was the chance for me to sort of take my knowledge, my skills that I learned from the theory and apply into my every day really, and sort of work for real life projects that actually have a meaning and impact, not just to myself or maybe other students as well. So fast forward, I chose T-levels, even if it was a bit risky. I just knew that was something I wanted to do. It just felt right for me. Fast forward a little bit, my college was in partnership with Pearson and we were invited for an Insight Day. That Insight Day was really just about to learn more about Pearson. I also got the chance and the opportunity to sort of talk to other employers, sort of understand their perspective. But it was a chance for me to sort of ask any questions, any curiosity I had, ask. And during that day, I really tried my best to stand out. I did my own research, just to understand a little bit more about Pearson, what they do. And every chance that came out to me, even though I was really, really shy, I was super shy. I just pushed myself out there, asked as many questions as possible. And it was an amazing opportunity for me just to visit Pearson in general. Fast forward, we got the chance to apply for that position. The application process was very easy. I just needed a cover letter and a CV. And then if you were to get down the path, it was just an interview, a face-to-face interview. That was my very, very first interview, which was scary. Coming from year 11, going to college, my first year of college was so scary. I did my preparation as much as possible with help and support from others. When I got there, the atmosphere was so welcoming. So I met the team, they were so friendly, and it kind of eased off my nerves. I felt like I belonged there, to be honest with you. And we started the interview, and as we had, it was more of a conversation rather than just an interrogation. I could see that they really cared about me and they wanted to learn more about myself. And that was the interview. It was an amazing interview. It was an amazing experience. I learned so much from there. And luckily, I did secure the placement, which was a huge milestone for me. It was my time to shine. So my ambitions really grew just at that moment. It just got that ambition in me. And I did say, wow, I can do this. I can prove to others that I can do my placement. I can learn, I can develop, and I can continue my career. So that was my journey.
Thanks for sharing that. Really great story there. And just kind of touching on one of the points you mentioned. So that transition from college into work? I know the T-level kind of integrates that kind of at a slower pace than usual, but can you kind of just talk us through what it was like going from doing year 11, being in school full time, to then, you know, having those placements within kind of the working environment of college too, and then maybe even to now where you're in full-time work?
So the biggest surprise for me was the difference in behaviors. At college or even in high school, I was surrounded by students, peers, that was more of an immature atmosphere. So a lot of slang used, a lot of sort of different sort of behaviors. Whereas when I stepped into the workplace, the behavior was different. It was just really empowered by professionalism, professional tone. I was surrounded by professionals that had a role and were making a real impact every single day. So I knew at that moment when I stepped in, I knew I had to sort of shift myself as well. I could not longer carry on the old habits. I could not longer give in the slang or the immaturity. I knew I had to mature up and sort of learn from the professionals and fit in. So I didn't want to be an outsider. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to feel important, and that was my journey. It was really difficult to sort of adapt to that style, but I was really closely observing other professionals. I was just trying to learn from their style and adapt my own style. It was difficult, but I think that was the best thing I've ever done, just making sure I can shift and fit in that workplace.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a daunting thing, isn't it? But it's also like, you know, as you're saying, like to fit in. I think it's like shifting the mindset from, you know, being yourself at home to being your professional self and bringing your professional self to work. That's something I talk about in my mentoring sessions that I do, because having that shift in mindset too. So then when you're kind of thinking about that professional self, what kind of skills did you develop when that shift from, you know, being at school to then being more in that professional environment?
Yes. Two skills that helped me the most really to shift was communication and research.
So now you're an apprentice. What's that like?
As an apprentice at the moment, I think it's the best thing I've ever done. I can see myself every single day just growing more and more, learning. Every single day I just learn something new, which is amazing. So coming up from a background where I didn't know much, I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the knowledge, I can see myself now mentoring others, sort of sharing my knowledge I gained during my T-level, but also my apprenticeship, and giving back, which is amazing and really, really rewarding.
Yeah. Can I just add there that Petronella is also up for a National Apprenticeship Award, so she's always very modest about just how she's doing on her apprenticeship. She's doing amazingly well, and the fact that we've been able to transition her into a recruitment role that is still within the early careers setting while she's been a T-level student herself and graduated from that and now moved on to the apprenticeship, I think again just resonates about the opportunity. So, you know, even your job role doesn't define you. Sometimes you can get involved in so many extracurricular stuff, and through that it's meant that you've circled back to your original placement team and been promoted and got to work with other teams. So apprenticeships just open up so many pathways which they have for you.
Yes,
yes
they have.
Yeah, what would be your top tip then, being, you know, the star apprentice that you are? What would you kind of say to someone that's feeling a bit unsure about what path to take?
I would say be curious. I didn't know I would be sitting in an early careers team right now. So it's just be curious, ask questions. If you see somebody online or on LinkedIn, for example, if you come across a professional that is sort of aligning with what you're looking for, just send them a message. Be curious, ask questions. Even your teachers or even your parents or guardians, or friends or a relative, just be curious and ask questions and just sort of see where you might want to go through. And that is
curiosity's
curiosity.
key.
You hear that a lot, and I do think it probably sometimes to students just feels like it's said over and over again, but it's one that always, again, when we meet students, just you being a bit more open to exploring things is quite refreshing to see in young talent.
Yeah, what I was told once when I first started my job was be a sponge. So it kind of loops into that curiosity piece, but it's a bit less of the like what everyone says all the time. Sponge, curiosity, I guess same thing, isn't it? So Siobhan, how is Pearson closing the skills gap for young people then?
We've covered quite a lot about skills today, but we are actively trying and we are doing a lot to help young people build the skills that they need for today and tomorrow's workforce and be ready for the world of work. And that is through some of the products that we're working with our customers with, rethinking how learning and teaching happens so that when they are actually leaving the world of learning and kind of through their schools and colleges, they are better equipped. So we've recently launched the Pearson AI Innovation Lab at our head office. And that's kind of an environment where schools can access and come along and kind of just play around with technology. So already we're kind of through our product team seeing engagement levels with Pearson and just how we work with younger students kind of on the rise. The other things that we're doing are creating more opportunities. It's really tough to get an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So one of the things I do day in, day out is look at converting roles that we have in Pearson that I think actually naturally fit to be apprenticeship opportunities. And then where possible, also a T-level placement prior to that. Yeah. So we're doing a lot to kind of open up the opportunities we have nationally. So we have sites across England. So hopefully we'll see more and more young people having the opportunity to join us as employees. And then when we do have young people join, that clarity piece I mentioned, we really want to have clear career pathways. That's something we've heard and we've listened to, that young people really want to own from day one, really, their progression. Be it that you come in at a level 3 apprenticeship and there's a nice level 4, level 5 kind of transition route, even up to things like degree apprenticeships. So having that kind of clarity and pathway set out. And we do that through our new career architecture that was launched this year. And it helps mobilise skills across the organisation as well. So it helps me to plan things like rotations and also help with things like recognising when skills and kind of achievements have been made. So yeah, we're doing loads. So I would say apply. If you resonate with the Pearson brand, like what we do, we're not just an awarding body. We operate out of over 170 countries. We're FTSE 100. Our head office is in London. We have all the corporate functions you would expect of a FTSE 100, from finance, marketing roles. So yeah, the main thing we're trying to do in bridging that skills gap is give more opportunities for people to actually come in and join us. Yeah,
nice. And Petronella, what roles or opportunities are available in the early career space at Pearson's?
So I'm currently working really closely with our partners in colleges as well. So we're sort of planning ahead of what possible opportunities we can give to T-level students. We also offer around 20 different apprenticeships across England. Let's say you're just at a university, you just entered, and you just feel that that path is not the best. We have open vacancies all year round. So if you visit Pearson.jobs, you may be able to find an apprenticeship that really aligns with your goals and your future aspirations. The interview process is really, really quick. We just request your cover letter and a CV, and then if you're successful, you will then be invited to an interview. The interview can either be via Microsoft Teams or a face-to-face, just so we can enhance your experience. So I believe this is a really good stepping stone for your future, and it can align really well with what you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. That's fantastic. So Siobhan, what can students expect in the workshops that we have coming up in partnership?
We've got lots of guest speakers coming along from our business, so from across a plethora of job roles. We'll have apprentices like Petronella joining, some hopefully T-level students who are about to join us. So it'll give you a real flavour of what it's like to kind of join our company at different stages. And outline their journey, because we've mentioned before stories and kind of that storytelling, hearing from people who've actually been through it is what students really find beneficial. Kind of just helps with them kind of thinking about whether or not that's something that would interest them. So we're going to be gathering lots of stories, case studies, and covering those on the workshops. We also are really aware that students want to get some practical tips through those sessions. So there's an accompanying workbook which we've co-designed with Pathway CTM, which will kind of help and set them up to success on them sessions, so that they're engaging with them, they're really taking some learning from them, and they can document that as well. So that's again something that they can kind of use as a tool going forward.
So so they can walk away with some kind of a tangible takeaway, instead of just having gone, listened, taken notes. You can walk away with that, speak to people in your network.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's more about that reflective piece about, and takeaways, as opposed to us wanting you to kind of just write down what you've learned. The recordings will be there for people to catch up on demand. We're running them throughout the year, so they're going to have different themes. So yeah, we would just say engage, but also engage with the workbook and make the best use you can of it. As part of your career planning. Yeah,
nice. So Petra, what's one small action that students can take away to help kind of build their future career?
So one small but a powerful action students can take this week is go and find yourself either a mentor or somebody that you're just looking up to and you wish to be like them in the future. That could be a friend, that could be a cousin or a relative, that could be your teachers or your parents or guardians. just go out there and sort of ask their questions. Just go out there and have a conversation with them and sort of understand what you want to do in the future. That could be, you can also start researching companies. So what company is your dream company to work for? What organization? See if you're aligned with their values, with their ethics, and sort of understand, build yourself sort of a career path in your mind and slowly just start working towards that and achieve your goals.
Yeah, definitely. Find that person that you look up to and then kind of go from there, I guess. And then Siobhan, what would you say?
Definitely a great tip. Well done. And it's one that you've used to your advantage. So I can actually see how that's worked in practice. So fantastic, Petronella. One of the things I've been talking to recently is within the role of early careers, we sit within talent acquisition in HR. So it's pretty kind of embedded in the recruitment teams, early careers and how we operate in Pearson. And more we're seeing them using, even for more junior roles, tools like LinkedIn. Yeah. And they use a report called LinkedIn Talent Insights and Recruiter Access, where you can get things like email messaging, where recruiters are actually reaching out to you. So a lot of the lift is on them to actually find you, which is in a lovely position to be in. And I'm hearing more and more that they're actually using this not just for experienced professionals, but they are when they're targeting particular geographical areas near our sites. Yeah. And that can be around the world actually, but we use it in the UK around our main sites. So they do target those people that may feel that they've got very little experience. But we're looking for people with the right behaviours. So we're looking for people who really lean into the essential behaviours that Pearson is looking for. That's things like people centricity, working for our customers, striving for excellence, performance management. We're really kind of looking for those underbending kind of behaviours and whether or not we can work with you to really kind of develop those. Yeah. So if you can and you're over 16, I would say get started on a LinkedIn profile. And even if you think it's quite scarce at the start, just putting things on there that you've achieved and engaging with that as a great kind of way to network and start building your CV. You have a personal brand now, or it might be, to you very kind of limited in your experience, but start building it from the off. And if you are getting into more of this learning for how we learn and learning for the right ways of learning, you will start reflecting in the right way, recording in the right way. And then that's basically what employers want to see. They can really see you as an individual and the fit that you might bring to an organisation.
Yeah, definitely. Every little action that you take is helping to build that personal brand up. And the sooner you start, the better. As I'm sure we all agree.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It's been very insightful.